welcome to another episode of Life in the Military Spouses Edition. And today, we're both pretty excited about this one. Coming into the holiday season, we're going to talk over four, what I feel like powerful topics of that are more general, but we're going to talk over how to keep them in this season and in our lives as military spouses. And we're going to start with the topic of hope. And how do we keep hope? How do we have hope in the lifestyle that we live? Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a little bit difficult or in between. And especially as right now we're into that, holiday season, how do we keep the hope whenever we need it? Not just when we see the Christmas trees or we see the joy or we're handing out presents, but how do we keep that hope year round all the time, even amidst some of the difficulties? So, Ash, when you think of, or you hear the word hope, what do you, what are some of the first things you think of or imagine when you hear the word hope?
I don't know if I can put like a word to it, but I think of just something that's going to get me through, something that's going to help me overcome, something that's going to just help.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I can put, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. And don't mind me, I have a kid today.
It's okay. I love it. We are, as you can tell, we're functioning moms who bring our lives to us. And that means bringing kids with it. But I think when I hear the word hope, immediately I'm like the color person. I imagine and I see images, things like that. So I see the color of like white, right? This white color of hope, just the purity of it. This, maybe it is because it is related to, when I think of hope, sometimes you think of this idea of Christmas and how much hope can be, or a lot of things, hope in a small child, hope in a lot of different situations, and all of them are related to white. Like you're handed a child with a blanket. Most of the time that blanket's going to have something white on it, which I still never understood why they do that. But I sense this white color and this bright and vibrancy, because every time that I've ever needed to tap into hope, it's been feeling a little dark. It feels a little tough, feels a little hard. So when I think of hope, I feel this light, this energy and light source, because sometimes when we're tapping into hope, we don't have any of it, and it's dark and it's hard and it's difficult. And that's why we felt like we had many topics related to hope that all kind of fell underneath the topic of hope. Because as a military spouse, it's not always butterflies and rainbows. And even at Christmas, I had to spend a Christmas apart from my husband because of a deployment. And we've had to spend many times where, maybe we don't see each other during that season as much as we want to, or that unity behind the Christmas tree, of that unity isn't always there just because of life.
Well, let's be real, right? Because the holiday season, even though it's merry and jolly and joyful and cheerful and all the things that this season brings, it also brings a lot of stress, and it also brings a lot of chaos, and it brings a lot of frustration amidst all those things. And you talk about people going, Christmas shopping, and you're so excited. It's like, oh my gosh, so fun. Or like with like the holiday things in your community, say like for Santa pictures, or like you have a hot chocolate get together or something, but yet like the people around you are all rushing around, and then that frustrates people, and then it causes people to be more mean to each other. And so um even, and then that's even with your community, but like even within like your marriage, there's things that cause just like aggravated stress during this time. Oh my gosh, Christmas shopping. Do we have a budget for Christmas shopping? I don't know. Like, and so it's just like added things that weigh on you when you're trying to be merry and bright. And so like how do we, especially as military wives, because you know this, we're just talking, we are military wives, how do we get through this? How do we overcome this, and where can we find the hope amongst those things? How can we stay focused if our
Mhm.
husband is gone, or if we're having struggles even if he's not gone? How where do we find hope? Where do you find hope, Steph?
Um, my faith, my family, those are my places. Those are where I find that hope. Obviously I go to my faith 100% when good or bad. I mean, no matter what, I always find hope within my faith. But like we're saying, in those moments of difficulty or stress or tensions, I truly do. I sit down with my kids and I sit down in front of whatever they're doing, and I just sit with them, and I leave whatever stressor might be at the door. I leave it at the door. And I
Mm-hmm.
spend that time with my kids to just, I remember when Chris was deployed, and there was a time where I just felt so stressed because I'm trying to get all this stuff together. I've got a little one. I just found out I'm pregnant. I am like in a foreign country, like a million and one things batting against me. Um, Stress was beyond belief. Like I just was not very hopeful. The holiday season was not very joyful for me. It was semi downer. It was all the emotions, right? And I literally just remember sitting in front of the Christmas tree staring at like plastic ornaments with Abby because she found them super entertaining. And I would sit in front of, like, just have her in my lap, and I'd sit there and stare at the Christmas tree. And it was just the moment of remembering and connecting back to the joyful, childlike mindset of the holidays, or just reminding myself to be that child again, of connecting back to them. What do I want to be as their parent? Not stressing, but just being present in them, has always been something that brings me that hope, because they are, I look at them and I go, they're the hope for the next generation. Like they are that next generation. They're the hope that of the future. So if I can be here and present and loving, um, that's where I go. They are my center again, along with my faith, because they make up my priorities. But where do you go for hope?
Yeah, my faith too is first and foremost. So I mean, I'm always in the word. I'm always reading scripture, finding encouragement, finding peace, um, in in God's word when I'm hitting those points where I'm like, okay, like I'm struggling. But I also go like it's my mindset. Um,
Ooh.
and if my mindset is not right, if my mind is out of whack, where I can't focus and I can't think, I'm just so stuck in the moment of being stressed, um then I it's like starts like this spiral, the downward. And so like keeping my mindset focused um really helps me find the hope out of these struggle moments during this season. I'm yes, it is joyful, but there's a lot of struggles during this time. And a lot of people, myself included, can um really kind of fall into their depression or anxiety during this time of year. And so if my mindset isn't right, I I really struggle. Um I really think about, for myself, is okay, it's about time. This time period, it's going to pass.
Yes.
It is going to get better. Like, everything ebbs and flows, right? And so it's like really concentrating and keeping my focus. Okay, today's just a day. I'm having it. I'm having a moment if it is. But guess what? This day is going to end, and tomorrow is going to be a new start. If it's beyond just a day, the time period of what you're going through, it's going to pass. And having that mindset for me and being in God's word is so hopeful, because then I can see a end point, even though I can't physically see it or even metaphorically see it. Is that the right term?
Right.
It's just knowing, like, okay, we're progressing, we're moving on, like it's eventually going to come to an end. And so that really helps me maintain and find hope, is just my mindset being right. And sometimes I can't get myself there. i need
Right.
I need my husband, like, hey, Ash, like, it's okay, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get through this, or this really isn't that big of a deal, whatever you're going through, right? It's like he's got to help me shift my mindset back. Oh, you're right. Okay, this is just something small. Like, get it together, Ashley. Like, you can do this. Or it's finding like those friends um
Yeah.
that just kind of come alongside and like are with you and encourage you, and something like that. So yeah, for me, it's my faith and my mindset. It's really, they kind of coincide together. When I'm not in the word, my mindset gets kind of jumbled for me. And then when my mindset's kind of jumbled, I don't want to be in the word. Like, they kind of
Yeah.
go together for me. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. As you're saying stuff, I'm like, ooh, this, ooh, that, ooh, this. Like, so many things to say. Because like you're saying, sometimes getting yourself into that mindset can't be done alone. I mean, I just yesterday was down and couldn't get myself out of this like nasty attitude and mood. And Chris feeds off of it, so it made it even worse. Like, the two of us are ready to like just claw each other out and just take it out in the living room. And it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't like a sexual thing. It was truly like frustrated at each other over something that literally was like not needed to be done. Um, and I had to turn in and actually text a friend and be like, okay, I just need you to tell me that I'm not going crazy. I need you to tell me that I am capable and I am strong. Like, I just need somebody else to say the words. And she's like, you've got this. And I was like, thanks. That's all I needed. Like, right. It's just sometimes it's telling somebody else, what do you need in that moment? But understanding that I can't do this alone. You can't do this alone. None of us can do it alone. And that can mean in faith too. Like, I know that my strength is not big enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to lean on his strength. I need to lean on the strength of a friend at that moment, my spouse at a different moment. Like, it all calls for different things. But having those tools and those capabilities and people around are key. Like, and admitting to yourself, you know what? I'm not okay. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to always have it together. That's one thing. Like, as a military spouse, we try to have it all together. We try to always make it butterflies and rainbows to make it easier on the rest of them. Like, this is not the time to try and do that. Like,
Mm-mm.
when you need hope, or just in general, you don't always have to have it together. So I put that out there because I felt like for so long I had to have it all together. I
Mm.
had to have the kid who had it together and looked so pretty and cute, and we always had smiles on, and it was more stressful than anything. And I had lost a lot of hope because I was trying to be something that just wasn't what was then.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that is a disc I put out there as is that, to release that so that you can have more hope in your day. But this is something else you mentioned was that this will pass. And I feel like there's twofold to that, because yes, I have sat there and gone, okay, this is a bad situation, this will pass, right? And kind of done one of those where I'm like, okay, it'll pass, it'll pass, it'll pass. But if I think of it in both positive, like every situation in a positive light of, even in the darkness of this moment, it will pass. What do I need to learn?
Ah,
Because it
yeah,
could go like this, right? It could
correct.
be done in a heartbeat that this moment has passed and I haven't caught what I'm learning. So now I'm just going to keep repeating this until I get it. So I'm one of those people who's like, embrace the suck. Like, when it is not so joyful or hopeful or fun, to embrace that moment and go, okay, this is going to pass. What do I need to learn? Like, just bear down and hold tight to it. I learned that through having one of my kids. Somebody told me that. They were like, just bear down, hold on, it's a giant hug, and just embrace the moment. But in that same essence, are we looking at, when we do feel hopeful, are we willing to understand that this moment will pass?
Mm-hmm.
This moment too will pass,
Mm-hmm.
and take advantage of what we have. Enjoy this moment, good or bad. Good or bad, we have to enjoy the moment. Take this moment, because, like you said, this will pass. And there are the ebbs and flows, there are the highs, the lows. But I think if we remember this will pass, and that you can't do it alone, hope is always on the other side.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So that reminds me of there was a small little reel that I seen between, it was a conversation between, I don't know all of them, but it was Tom Hanks and Shia LaBeouf and a few other gentlemen. They're having, I don't know, like they were sitting around a round table or whatever, they're having a conversation. And Tom Hanks, he said just that. He goes, you know, you're having hard times, this too shall pass. But if you're having good times, remember this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so profound because we forget that in the good times, we don't get to stay there. Life doesn't allow that. Um and so, you know, we have to remember as people, as wives, let's remember to have some expectation management with our,
Yes.
you know, because we expect, like, okay, we're in this good place, yes, awesome, but just expect life to come and make a turn, and something is going to happen. And if you expect it, you don't have to keep like looking forward for it. Be in your moment, like live your life, enjoy that time. But if you expect those things to come, then you won't be so surprised, and it won't hit you so hard. And I think I'm learning this. So I'm kind of preaching even to myself here because I am still learning this. But I'm hoping, hope the word again, that it won't it you can manage it better
Mm-hmm.
when it does come. And then of course in those hard moments, expectation management. Okay, like where I'm in this, like Stephanie said, what am I learning? This sucks, but it's not going to be for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually this will pass, and you can anticipate and expect those things to like come at you. And And Stephanie pointed out another good thing about, and it goes back to expectation management of just like even she said, I always had to have the kid of like looking cute and dressed up and things like that. And we as parents and especially moms, put so much pressure on ourselves.
Yes.
Have our kids looking perfect, having our house looking perfect, having ourselves put together, and making like our marriage is all great. And sometimes we have to just stop.
Yep.
Our kids are fed, they are loved, they are taken care of. Who cares if their shirt is dirty? Who cares if their room is a mess? Who cares if they have peanut butter in their hair? Because
But keep going, because I
sometimes you just got to go, okay, I can wash them later. Right now, we are going to be in this moment. I'm going to love them. I'm going to enjoy this time. That will come later. My dishes, my sink is full right now. You know what? They're still going to be there. It is okay. Let's take the time to reset. Let me reset my mind. Let me reset my heart. Let me spend some time with my kids. Like just expectation management on your home, on yourself. Things will still be there for you to do, but your time is valuable. Your kids are going to remember what you're doing. Your husband is going to remember what you're doing. So take the time. Don't worry about the laundry that's piled up that needs to be folded or washed. Trust me, I am one. Laundry is my nemesis. Washing, I understand. Drying, I understand. Fold and put away, not for me.
And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I have 3 loads sitting on my bed right now that need to be folded. I have 3 loads, y'all, and I have 3 more down here sitting in front of my laundry. So
it is what it is. But you know what? It will always be. It will always be.
And I think there's another thing that we can say is that at one point in time, those messes will go away. We will hit that point where we only have 2 people's worth of laundry, not 7 of them. We only have 2 people's worth of a mess, and maybe even only 1 person's worth of a mess. Like, there will come a time where those messes aren't there. And something that I was told very early, realized early, was that I'm worried about what somebody else is thinking, right? By me worried about what my kids look like, all these things, like, oh my gosh, what I'm carrying what somebody else is thinking. They have no idea that my kid woke up just fine this morning and decided that 2 minutes before we left, they need to stick their entire face in the tub of peanut butter, right? They didn't understand that I have had no sleep because I've had a child who was teething all night, right? These people they see a snidbit of your life. And if they want to judge you off of a snidbit, they are more than welcome. That does not decipher your worth or anything else. So that was one thing. And then I also learned my mom used to come over and help me with, like, when she was over or something, would help me, like, she'd put laundry away or do the dishes or something. And I took it so offensively that I was like, she's judging me, so she's doing it because she doesn't think I can handle it, right? Like, I took it so offensively. And I actually mentioned to my mom, I was like, I am hurt when you do this. And she was like, why? I'm doing it because I see the 100 things you need to do. I'm just taking something off your plate. I mean nothing by it. Like, please, I'm not judging. I'm trying to help. And I had to reframe my brain that, like, my friends are coming over. They are very well aware that if you come over to this house, $10 says there are Legos all over the floor. So caution where you step. There's probably dishes in my sink because people have eaten today. I mean, we've all seen the post that says if you have a messy kitchen, that means they've been fed. If you have piles of laundry, that means that they're clothed. If there's toys out, that means they're happy and they're enjoying their home. Like, we need to remove the expectation that we're a Pinterest mom. Like, I just remove that. I understand that for some form of sanity, we want that mess cleaned up. Yes, but we can do that later. Like, we can do that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But understand that there can be peace and joy and hope and love and all the things in your home, even when the toys are still out, even when the kids, like it's 11 o'clock in the morning at my house and my daughter still hasn't had her hair brushed. Oh, well. Like, that is one battle I am just not fighting right now. Like, it was hard enough to get her to eat her breakfast, and that was a Reese's cup this morning. I mean, she did eat other things, but sometimes it's like, pick the battles. Is that battle worth fighting right now? Mm-hmm. If it's going to save you your sanity and hope, then please don't fight it. Like, sometimes it's just easier. And like you said, if we can, I think the thing that rung for me that like means a lot to me that I never realized I was doing was, like you said, Ash, is the concept of, if we can expect or almost plan that, you know what, yes, it's good now, but there's going to be a low, right? That there will be lows in my life. I can then plan for them, right? I'm not so shocked when all of a sudden something goes wrong. But at the same time, I will preface with the concept that I don't want us all to sit here and worry.
Yeah.
Oh no, this good moment's going to be ending and I can't, like, don't stop us from enjoying. It's just the idea that I don't want us all to play naive. Yes. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, it's great. It's wonderful. It's fine now. It's butterflies and rainbows. Well, those butterflies and rainbows only last for so long, y'all. Like, we have to be real. Like, be real with yourself, be real with life, because I'm not saying that I want you to sit here and worry over it. I don't want anybody to sit here and lose hope because a bad moment can come. It's just, if we understand that there is the ebb and flow of life, there is the ups and downs to everything, we can then understand and not be so like thrown off when the negative comes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. I know, like, personally, I'm sitting here and we have been debating on this move. Like, do we move? Where do we move? What does it look like? All these things. So I decided, let's plan ahead, right? Like, to the best of our abilities. And I've contacted a realtor so that we can start looking at houses. Chris started reaching out to jobs. And for some reason, over the last week, the tensions about this move have gotten to the point where I looked at him and I was like, forget it, we're done. We're not moving. And because I was losing the hope behind this idea, this calling and pulling that we've been having to move there, I lost hope because it wasn't joyful anymore. It wasn't something I wanted to be involved with. It was so yuck and negative. So I just said, forget it. And then I had to look back, and as I told Chris, and then I looked, through the thought process last night, I'm like, I started this whole thing ahead of time to avoid that exact situation from happening in 2 months when I've got a graduation party and I've got summer and I've got all these things, right? I started now so that I can avoid that. It wasn't to put pressure on it now. It's to relieve the pressure later. And I had to refocus me, and I had to refocus Chris and be like, there is no pressure that we're not moving tomorrow.
Yes.
I was trying to alleviate.
Yes.
And the intention was just to get our mind rolling and going. And I want you guys, like, I hope our listeners can take that same thought process. Like, if we can kind of think ahead and think of ways to recenter ourselves, ways to refocus that, to find that light and hope again, even amidst whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether you're just sitting in this muck of in between where you're like, it's not awful, but it's not wonderful over here. Wherever you're sitting, that you can still find that light and that joy and that hope from whatever's going on. And if it is from an outside source of a friend, if it is saying to your spouse, okay, I need a minute, like we need to recenter, and saying that aloud to yourself, to your spouse, to the kids, whatever. Or maybe it's just taking 5 and taking a deep breath. I mean, it could be a million and one things. I know I've been throwing myself into books lately because I'm like, it's going to be the one thing that keeps me sane for the next 3 weeks. Okay. Like it's just going to keep me sane until Christmas. It doesn't matter what that looks like, but to keep the hope, to keep the light inside of you, because your light is so important. Your light is what's needed. And so I put that hope out there for others to keep their hope and their joy and their light still shining, because we never know who else is looking for it. We never know who is going to turn around and need our light and our hope as much as we do.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, like, again, this time of year we can get in a funk, and so don't forget to find your community. Don't forget to find, that person, your friend, your husband, to help you along the way, help you refocus your mindset, help you bring back your focus on reality, maybe, on priorities, on reasons why you're doing what you're doing, whatever it may be. Because sometimes we can start overthinking things. Sometimes we can start spinning out of control in our mind, and we can't do it ourselves.
Yes.
And so don't forget to find your people, and especially this holiday season, because again, we're going to try and suppress it this holiday season. That's what people do during this time of year. We try to suppress everything, and like just be joyful. Like, I am joy. I'm going to be hot chocolate and candy canes and all the things, and everything is going to be fine, and we're going to have a good holiday season. We're going to have a good Christmas, yada, yada, yada. But all the stuff that you're suppressing is going to come flooding back after the holiday season is done. So I'm going to encourage you, don't suppress it. Just find your people to help you along the way. Okay? So yeah, this was a good conversation.
I know.
Like this one.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And I'm excited for the next week. What's that?
I said the next few weeks are going to be some fun things to talk over. I'm very excited.
Yeah, same. So I don't know. I mean, I think maybe I've covered my opinion on all of this.
But we would love to hear yours, listeners. Like, we want to hear your thoughts on, where do you find your hope? Where do you go to find hope, in the good, in the bad, in the not so questionable areas? Where do you go? What do you do? Because this is that interactive. We're giving our ideas, right? We want to hear yours too, because what you do might be helpful for us. It might be helpful for somebody else. So share. Do you have that 2 a.m. friend that is there when you're literally like, I just need somebody else to say it besides myself? Or, is it, do you have that faith group that is going to be like, here's a scripture for you? Do you have the moment where you can look at your spouse and be like, it's not wonderful right now? Like, do you have that space and safety and trust between the two of you that you guys can do that, where you're like, it's not okay?
Yeah.
But where do you find your hope? Do you have those spaces? If you don't, please reach out. Let us know. We will help in whatever manner we can facilitate for you. But we want to hear from you. That's the joy we get to do about this, is not just sharing our side, but hearing yours also. So fill us in. how do you find your hope this holiday season and just in general, whenever everything is going on? How do you find your hope? But thank you, Ash, for your input and all the things that you had to say, because they were so good. So I hope everybody was taking notes, because man, I'm like, where was my paper? I had it all over the place. It moved 4 times. It's okay. But look forward to the next 4 weeks. They're going to be not so specific like PCS or this or that. They're more of these topics of how to find hope and the broad scheme of things. How do we find some different things going through the holiday season, but also through this lifestyle and life that we have created and joined in on, that are some really awesome ones. And so, be on the lookout. Make sure you're following us in the podcast as a whole, along with on social medias, because guess what? There will be tips and tricks along the way through those too. Plus, we will be updating you coming closer to the holiday season, if we're taking a week off, if we're not, what's going on. If you're ever wondering, make sure you check the social medias, because those will update you also. So thank you all for listening, and come follow for more.